So guys, rarely does a leak just end up confusing the heck out of me, but today's information does exactly that. So we have a tweet from Mr. White, who has leaked a few things in the past, and he claims the next version of the AirPods Pro, which I've made a video on, you can check out in the icon above, but essentially he claims there could be 2 sizes of the next AirPods Pro, and I'm just sitting here wondering, why would Apple do that? And on top of all of this confusion, we have claims that this next AirPods Pro could be coming with the W2 chip. The W2 chip. That's really odd because we just had the H1 in the Pro. Yeah, this does not make a lot of sense. So I'm going to try and break all of this down. And so bear with me. And with that being said, let's just get into this. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click that notification. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Okay, so let's get into the size thing a little later because there is some other tidbits about this leak that I want to delve into first. So one thing you might notice with these images is the colors of these components, and especially since one seems to be a silverish color and one seems to be a black color. Now, of course, this difference in color could not mean a lot of things, but a lot of people have inferred that maybe this could represent the introduction of colors on the AirPods Pro. Of course, a long time ago, I kind of assumed that Apple would never give us colors with the AirPods because the glossy white look has become iconic and synonymous with the AirPods line, but to break all of that, Apple gave us colors on the AirPods Max, so there is a possibility we could see some sort of black or red or some sort of color option with the AirPods Pro. And maybe the color change in these hardware components could suggest that, possibly, but Mr. White does tell us in another tweet that maybe AirPods not suitable for black, I think. That's his words, and so I think that means we won't be seeing a black option with these AirPods Pro, but I still wouldn't lose full hope because of course we saw colors with the AirPods Max, and so I do think Apple will trickle down those options to the rest of the AirPods lineup. The next thing I want to cover in this leak is the presence of the W2 chip, because of course this might confuse some people because Apple currently uses H series chips in the AirPods lineup, and Apple used W in the first generation pair of AirPods, and so it would be weird for Apple to go back to the W moniker with these new AirPods Pro. But there is one key word he mentions, and that is still. He says still W2 chips, and so what I'm thinking from this is that what he refers to as the W2 is the H1 chip, because of course the H1 is the successor to the W1 chip from the first generation pair of AirPods. It's technically the W2 chip, and since he says still, that pretty much means the AirPods Pro 2021 edition and of course the AirPods 3 should still keep the H1 chip. And honestly, that's not a huge problem because the H1 chip is absolutely fine. I've never had any issues with Bluetooth or latency with my AirPods, so I'm definitely really fine with that. I think the H1 chip can stay in these AirPods, and so that is definitely not something that's a necessary upgrade. And so with all of those tidbits out of the way, let's now discuss the matter at hand, which of course is the whole sizes kerfuffle. So this leak mentions we could be getting 2 versions of the AirPods Pro, possibly in some sort of small and large size, and I've been thinking and wrapping my head around this concept, and I've come up with some possibilities as to what this could mean. So number one, obviously, this is pretty simple. Mr. White is just wrong. I mean, this is a leak at the end of the day. This is not confirmed information, and so it is very likely this is just a fake leak. I mean, for reference, if we take a look at the good old Apple Track website, Mr. White has an accuracy of 25%. His accuracy is not too good. Now, to be honest, he has only given us 4 rumors, so it is a limited track record. But out of the 4 things he's mentioned, he has got a lot of it wrong. For example, he mentioned the Series 5 would get a blood pressure measurement, and of course we know that wasn't the case. And he also said the Apple Pencil will be coming in black, and while that could possibly happen in the future, it still hasn't happened. So clearly his track record is very mixed. And so because of his shoddiness, there is a possibility these 2 versions of the AirPods Pro could just be the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro 2, because we know the AirPods 3 will have a lot of elements from the AirPods Pro, right from the design to, of course, the system and package used, which of course is what is pictured in these leaks. However, the next possibility is that yes, this could be true, and internally Apple is working on 2 sizes of AirPods Pro, but that doesn't mean we'll see both of these models launch. So going back to Mark Gurman's initial reports on the AirPods Pro 2 that I've covered before in the past, he mentions the next AirPods Pro should have a radical redesign with a stemless design and something that resembles more of the Galaxy Buds series and of course Google's Pixel Buds. But weirdly enough, Mark Gurman did specify that Apple's apparently finding it hard to fit in all the components and features of AirPods Pro in a more compact body, and so the final design could end up being less ambitious. And so, going back to this leak, there could be a possibility that these 2 versions of the AirPods Pro are currently being tested. There's the smaller version, which of course has the newer design, and then the bigger version, which is much more in line with the current size of the AirPods Pro. And so whatever one, I guess, works out best will be the final design, but we don't see both of them in final production. This would make a lot of sense because prototypes are a thing. Apple is constantly testing all kinds of shapes and sizes and different ideas for their future products. And so because Mark Gurman specifically mentioned that Apple is finding it hard to bring all the features of AirPods Pro into the smaller design, it is very possible this smaller version of the AirPods Pro in question is currently being tested, and if it works out in internal testing, that would be the model that goes into production. But of course, if it doesn't, then Apple has the backup route of just going with the traditional AirPods Pro design. Now, in terms of what I think about this radical redesign, I definitely have some thoughts on it, and I have mentioned it at length in my original AirPods Pro video, but to summarize, I don't think Apple should remove the stem. I think the stem is part of the AirPods brand, and the stem makes AirPods instantly recognizable amongst the sea of other wireless earbuds. And so if Apple were to go with a more traditional Galaxy Buds-like design, then AirPods will just become like every other wireless earbud out there, and I guess they will lose their novelty factor, which obviously could be a downgrade for a lot of people, because I'll be honest, there are many people who buy AirPods for the design and the flex factor, so yes, I think it's a bad idea, and hopefully, internally, this design fails, because I would gladly just keep the older design. I think the older design is perfect, so yes, Apple, if you're watching, retain the current design. Talking about how polarizing this design is, that brings me on to the final possibility with this leak, and that is the fact that maybe AirPods Pro will come in 2 sizes. Now yes, I know, this makes 0 sense. Now I had to really think about this, but actually in a way, there is a possibility Apple could give us 2 versions of the AirPods Pro, and specifically 2 versions that come in different sizes. So John Prosser, back in his early days of Apple leaking, mentioned that Apple was working on AirPods X, these sporty versions of AirPods for, of course, the market that would usually buy things like the Powerbeats and Powerbeats Pro. And of course, since Beats are pretty much dying now, Apple would replace the Powerbeats line with these new AirPods X for people looking for earbuds to work out with and earbuds to run with. Because as great and convenient as AirPods are, I have worked out on them once or twice, I have run with them, and they are pretty much terrible for fitness because they keep falling out of my bloody ears. And so Mark Gurman's rumour of this new stemless AirPods makes sense from a fitness perspective because you get a much better seal and a much better fit, which of course is going to make it more comfortable for long fitness sessions for people out there trying to do some hardcore, intense exercise. And so that brings me on to my prediction that maybe Apple is launching a sportier version of AirPods Pro focused for the fitness market. Maybe these could be called the AirPods X or the AirPods Pro X, something along those lines, and knowing Apple, they'll probably include a month free of Fitness Plus because that would just beautifully tie in to the whole service. So yes, I feel like AirPods Pro X or some sort of fitness focused AirPods makes a lot of sense. Now, what's interesting about this whole AirPods X situation is that ever since we got that leak from John Prosser a few months ago, we pretty much have nothing about AirPods X. Not a single update regarding the project from any leak of sorts. I have seen nothing about it, and so while we know that Apple is internally testing this and possibly continues to do that, we don't know when they could go into mass production, and so definitely take what I said with a grain of salt. I think it makes sense, but of course there is no evidence or substantial evidence to back it up. So yes, I have, to the best of my abilities, broken down this rumor. I hope you guys have understood that, and tell me in the comments below some of your predictions regarding this leak. What do you think Apple's going to be doing with the AirPods Pro? Do you think they will launch 2 sizes, or do you think these are just 2 prototypes and Apple will choose one of them to release to the masses? And on that note, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that notification, and with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. See you, peeps.